So I think what's been happening is since the beginning of term, we've been discussing chapter 6 of the Tattvartha Sutra, and within that chapter 6, Rita Ben and others have talked about the various types of karma. They've discussed about ashrav, samvar, bandh, so it's quite a lot of detail. So the general topic has been generally discussing karmas. So that's what we're talking about. So which now leads on to the 16th verse and onwards. And the next few verses talk about causality. That's the cause and effect. Okay, karma, which we believe in karma. So what does the causality mean? So if you look at causality, causality means cause and effect. And that's what we are really all looking after. Why did this happen to me? And that is a general premise of the karma. Apne aam kare to anu cause and anu effect. So that's the, and it's a natural or worldly agency. So cause and effect is not only just generally, okay, I pushed a table and that's why it's moved. So that's physical, but it also could be natural. Causality is also an abstraction that indicates how the world progresses. So it's also an abstract notion. So that's quite interesting to note. Okay, because we're always looking for answers. We're looking for physical answers, but it could be an abstract notion. In Aristotelian philosophy, the word cause is also meant to use explanation or answer as to the why question. Why did this happen to me? Why? To answer that why question. So we know that if you look at the Newton's third law of motion, which says for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So if these two people are pushing, so this person is pushing this way, so the force is going to move him in this way. So he's going to slide this way and the other way around. So he's going to be pushing this way and he's going to be moved that way. And this is very similar to even the karmic effect. No matter, if I hinder someone from getting knowledge, then I'll get run over in your karma. So the causality is there. Now, when you look to a why question, there are so many instances of when you go to the doctors. How many of you have experienced that if you went to a doctor and say, you or your family or anyone you know, and you ask the doctor, why has this happened? And the doctor comes around and says, sorry, I don't know. Has anyone experienced that? So it's very often that in spite of all the medical and technological advances, you would still go to a medical doctor and then they'll still come over and say, yes, we can see there is a problem, but why it has happened, we do not know. That also leads to, if you went to Great Ormond Street Hospital, it's just amazing to see very small babies, even some of them just newborn babies and with severe medical problems. And then it makes you question that if we believe that it's because of karma, cause and effect, and many people just believe, they don't believe in reincarnation, then they feel this is the only life. It makes you believe that a one-day-old baby, what causes has it done for it to have such an effect? Because if you don't believe in reincarnation, then you're actually at a loss to explain why is it. And many people in the Western world who don't believe in philosophy, then they just leave it to randomness. It's just a random. We are all random numbers, and randomly someone will get inflicted with certain things. But that it's a far-fetched notion. How many of you have actually watched the movie Victoria and Abdul? Anyone of you watched that movie? Yeah. I mean, it's very striking. I mean, I wouldn't want to let the whole story out, but in essence, Queen Victoria was influenced by someone by the name of Abdul. And what really happened in this story here, that Abdul was a Muslim back in India, and he was actually working in the prison services. So all the prisoners would be there, and he would then engage the prisoners to make carpets. And at that time, they decided that, because of some celebrations, that they wanted some people from India to represent and give Queen Victoria some present. So they randomly selected this guy and then someone else to say, okay, you guys are both, quite fit. Why don't we take you to England? And this will be an opportunity for you to present Queen Victoria with some kind of a present. The long end of the short of the story was, he was absolutely no one, basically just like a general servant of the British Empire. And he went there and he was told all the protocols he needs to follow when you have the Queen. You cannot see the Queen in the eye and so forth. But he broke some of things. He looked at Queen Victoria in the eye, and over a period of some time, he actually developed an affection, mutual affection to both of them. To the extent when the movie ends, that he was actually made the commander of the British Empire against all the British hierarchy. And it actually makes you wonder, if you watch the whole movie, Prabhupada said that if you look at karma, this person was no one. How can karmas take a twist of a turn as to from being no one to actually becoming over here in those times? Right now people are much more tolerant about we should have equal opportunity. But in those times, for someone from a sort of Indian background, someone even a Muslim, and having such a strong influence on Queen Victoria that she sidelined all her British hierarchy, the sirs and the knights, and really confided in him. Whatever he said, she would look at him very dearly, and it really makes you wonder how karmas the twist of fate. So we now come to this sutra here, which says Baha Varam Parigrahatva Narakasyas Yusha. So what it's saying, the inflow of narak karma. So when we bind karmas which will take us to hell, narak, is caused by too much worldly activity and by attachment to too many worldly objects, or by too much attachment. Example, committing breaches of the first 5 vows of non-killing, non-stealing, chastity, non-attachment to worldly possessions. Now I think we need to understand that does this really lead us to the karmas will take us into the hell? But what's really important here to know is that it's excessive attachment to worldly possessions. And let's look at this in a little bit more detail. Now, to understand this, sorry? Oh, you have to do this?
I think so.
On this one itself?
Yeah, because when you touched it, that's when it.
Just press the back button.
The white.
Yeah.
On top, the first.
This one here?
Left.
No, okay, yeah. I didn't realize it was interactive. How do I make this go away? Can I touch this?
Touch the screen somewhere.
No, the arrow you touched that made it go.
This one?
No, the side, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so if you look at Bhagwan Mahavir, it's quite interesting to see that in his 18th life, he became a Vasudev. Now, generally if you read the scriptures, there are 2 prominent positions. One's called a Vasudev and one's called a Chakravarti. Vasudev has got a lot of power, so they actually become very big kings and they conquer 3 continents. And Chakravarti is actually more extensive than that. So Chakravarti would then be able to conquer 7 continents. What happened was that Bhagwan Mahavir, his father was a king, but he was a very subordinate king. And someone who was a much bigger king than him ordered his father, saying that there's actually a very man-eating lion and causing a lot of havoc here. So he ordered Bhagwan Mahavir's, in this life here, father, to saying, why don't you kill this lion? So then Bhagwan Mahavir says, then told his father, look, father, you don't need to go and kill this lion. I will actually go because, I don't want you to put into trouble. So Bhagwan Mahavir actually goes and fights this lion, and with his valor, he just literally rips upon his face and kills the lion. Oh, I think I don't really touch this.
Once more.
No, I think that's just doing it by feel. Just hold on. Just hold the on the.
Keep touching.
Put your hand. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So he actually then killed. So and then what happened is that after he killed the lion, then the main king, when he died, then Bhagwan Mahavir actually became a Vasudev. So you could actually see that with what intensity he actually killed the lion, and with a lot of pride. Yes, that I with my bare hands managed to kill this lion. In that same birth of 18th life, there's another incident whereby many of you have heard that this incident of when he poured molten lead into one of the musicians there. I think most of you know the story there. Now let's look at the consequences of this. So the 19th birth, he took in the hell, seventh hell called Mahatma Prabha. So as a result of the crimes committed here, he actually was born in the hell. 19. 20th a lion, 21st again in the fourth hell, then 22nd a human, 23rd Priyamitra a Chakravarti, then again 24th he is born in the seventh celestial world called Shukra. Now what's very striking here is from the 18th life he went into hell. He was Vasudev here, so he had powers, but powers, limited powers, not like a Chakravarti. One would have thought that if he became a Chakravarti, he has now conquered 7 continents, so he must have engaged in so much more violence because he has got all that ambition to conquer much more. But the frame of mind must have been different, that from this birth of a Chakravarti, he actually went into the 7th celestial world. And then only from this birth, he actually went into hell. So that's quite interesting to see that how the intense desires can lead one into hell, to take one into hell. Now the other thing is that, so what happened was that the repercussions of this did not only happen. Oh.
Stand up.
One tap.
While all these things, Rajeev, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not having very much knowledge about the Vedanta, but my question could be completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
When you say someone is born in the celestial world, someone is born in the hell, so that means that yoni apne jagah. You could be human, you could be animal, you could be anything, or
So in that particular place, how you're born, that's based on the scriptures. So like people say that you got different kinds of body over there. So when you are born in the heavens, your body can take different shapes. You got different powers there. Again, if you are born in hell, what they say is that you could be born with a certain type of body, but if they chop you, that the body can actually join together. So you suffer lots more pain. But what kind of bodies and all, exact descriptions, you can read the scriptures and it's just up to you to believe what it is. But it's not necessarily like human form, or it could be, it's up to your imagination what it is.
so like આપણે અર્થ ઉપર જેટલા બધા બર્થ ને બધું થાય તો we are saying we have so many yonis છે આપણે અહીંયા humans છે animals છે
Yes.
એક Portuguese છે and like so many kind of
Right.
things are
So basically there they've actually got 5 senses. So they are 5 sense beings. Even in the hell and even in the heavens, there are 5 sense beings. Yoni essentially means a place conducive to birth based on certain factors. So that's what yoni means. It does not mean species. Like we say, okay, 84 lakh yoni. So yoni essentially means factors which are conducive to birth in a certain place. So if you are to be born in a hellish region, you should be having certain body type so that you can sustain that hellish. Or if you're born in heaven, you should have those kind of certain factors which will enable you to be born in that particular region. So for example, fish, so they'll have a particular body so that they can adapt to the swim in the waters. We can't reside in the sea. So those are kind of, so yonis are specific conducive factors which make you sort of be born in that particular so what's also interesting is that once when Bhagavan Mahavir bound this karma of pouring molten lead, not only did it perhaps take him to hell, but the effects can actually even linger on and on. So he had to even bear the consequences of this act right up to his 27th birth. And in this 27th birth, many of you have heard the story. He's out there after he's taken Diksha, he's wandering in the forests and he's in deep meditation, and a farmer comes up to him and says, "Can you please look after my cows?" He goes away. Bhagavan Mahavir is in deep meditation. The cowherd comes back, says, "Where are my cows?" Doesn't find them. After a little, he goes looking for them, comes back again, and then again they're found there. And he thought Bhagavan Mahavir is playing a trick, lost his temper, and then he took nails and hit them into Bhagavan Mahavir's ear. And it was just amazing about 2000 last year, I actually went to this tirth, Vamanvada Tirth. Can you look at this just temple? It's just a beautiful temple, and this is the exact location where the cowherd actually did Bhagwan Akhila Toika. So if you just read this. So Bhagwan is Chisapaidi, so this is the exact location. હવે કે છે કે આનો જે ફેમિલી જે છે, they are still coming now, the farmer who hit, and they are still asking for repentance. So it's after all these generations, the family of this person who actually did, that's what he was saying, that they still come here and saying that, our ancestors did, my ancestors did this to you, we ask for forgiveness. So this is Bamanvada Tirth, and as Rita Ben was saying that if you went to Rajgiri, Bhagwan Mahavir spent 14 Chaturmasis there. It's just amazing to go to this actual Tirth where Bhagwan Mahavir actually Khila Thoikan, and just a beautiful, one of the most beautiful temples you can ever see, Bamanvada Tirth.
Where is it?
It's just Rajasthan. So you cross Gujarat and you're going towards Abu and Baju. So it's just after you cross the Gujarat border, very close to the Jiravala Parswanath ne bada je che Tirth. It's very close to that.
And Bhagwan, right from Bihar, he came all the way up to
Gujarat,
yeah. Rajasthan.
That's right. Because he was wandering around, so it's he must have really trekked. So the nature of the cause of bondage in obtaining the Narak karma, to undertake such an act accompanied by Kashai as causes pain to others in inflicting an injury. An emphatic assertion to the effect that this thing is mine while I'm its owner is accumulation of possession. So what's happening is that you are committing crimes with an acute sense of materialism and possession. When the tendency to inflict injury and to accumulate possessions are extremely acute, when there is constant indulging in violent and cruel acts, when the property of another person is snatched away, or when there is excessive attachment for worldly enjoyments, then there operates a cause of bondage for the Narak karma. So now so many times, if you read many of the historical books, no matter whether they are Hindu, Buddhist, Greek, or even European history, so many instances we find that there's a king who falls in love with another princess, and to win her heart, they'll actually wage a war. So many wars have been fought that not only is they actually liked someone else, and she could be a wife or a prince or a daughter of another kingdom, and just for that excessive attachment, so many lives would actually been lost just to satisfy that desire that yes, I want to win over her heart or. So that's just amazing, and that would say that yes, you're fighting a war, but for what reason? What's the bhav behind it? Which then leads you to the Narak Ayushya. How many of you know what's the Padmavati? What's going on in India with Padmavati? Anyone if you know what's the rationale and why is it getting a lot of importance in India? Why is it becoming in the limelight?
It's bad, you can't watch it.
Well, you can't watch it, but do you know why? Do you know why? What's the rationale behind it?
Whether it's a really true story or how much they have really showing the reality of the actual story.
True. Yeah.
But
So
nobody knows, but still they are fighting.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah.
see the movie, but we are still opposite.
So, when I research on it, the film is based on the legend of Padmavati, a legendary Hindu Rajput queen, and she was called Padmavat. And the story is actually written by a Sufi poet called Malik Muhammad Jas in 1540. So, Padmavati was much before. No one actually knows what actually happened, but the story has been captured by a Sufi poet, Muhammad in 1540. According to Padmavat, she was a wife of Ratan Sen, the Rajput ruler of Mewar, again Rajasthan. So she was a wife of this Ratan Sen. In 1303, Aluddin Khilji, the Muslim Turgo-Afghan ruler of the Delhi Sultanate, laid a siege According to Padmavat, Khilji led the invasion motivated by his desire to capture Padmavati. So here you can see that this Muslim king wants, wants to win the heart of Padmavati, and he's laying a siege. The men of the city stormed in a final mortal to kill as many of the enemy before falling. Padmavati is said to have committed Jwar, self-immolation, with all the other women to protect their honor and to avoid being captured by Khilji. So this is kind of the backdrop of what it is, and I think one of the furor which is caused in India is right now is that they're depicting that the Muslim king actually fell in love, and I think they're saying that it's not being depicted very properly, and therefore they are causing all this anguish in India. But as you can see, that again, intense desire and so many lives being killed, and this you can actually then see what leads to Narak karma. Another example is Shrenik Raja. He used to enjoy hunting, and at one point he took pride. Okay, with one arrow, I killed two because he killed a pregnant deer or anyone. So he takes pride. Okay, ek arrow mati I actually managed to kill two souls. So killing is one thing, but then taking the pride behind it is what then leads to the narak karma. Now, I mean, I don't know how many of you are like me, but when I read such kind of descriptions of hell, sometimes this causes a lot of anxiety and sometimes fear that what if you were born in Naraka, apne પણ એવા જો કર્મ કર્યા હોય, and what happens if we were born in Naraka? Because right now એક થોડોક even thorn પણ prick થઈ જાય છે, આપણે એટલું બધું દુઃખ થાય છે, it makes you wonder કે how if we were to be born there, how will we even be able to cope with pains? But when you read the scriptures, what's really interesting to know is that most, if not all, of our Tirthankars will actually once go to seventh hell. So it's all. I'm not sure if it's like an underlying rule, but it's if you read through the scriptures, most or if not all the Tirthankars through their lives have actually once gone to the seventh hell, which then gives you the reason to believe that if all our gods, આપણે જે પણ 24 તીર્થંકર આપણે અત્યારના પ્રણામ કરે છે, who are our gods, they once committed wicked crimes which took them to hell. So if salvation can be achieved in spite of being in the seventh hell, one can turn around one's life from the worst of situations. So in a way, it's actually like a most sobering thought to have in your mind. કદાચ આપણે પણ એવા કર્યા હોય, તમે કોઈ પણ, they still salvation. So you bear them with equanimity, and you can still have hope, and you can come out of this. So our Jain gods were not always perfect. All transformed from imperfection to perfection. And this is quite unique. Because if you look at any of the faiths, Christian faiths, it almost makes you believe that gods are perfect. The God is all powerful, all omnipotent, they are all forgiving. So the concept of God in most faiths is a God of perfection. That the God is always a perfect soul, whereas in Jains it's the other way around. All our gods actually came from imperfection. And through their sadhanas, they went to perfection. So there's not a single Tirthankar who says that, yes, I've been a Tirthankar, I've been great, and I've been God, I've been a Siddh just automatically. Everyone has to go through transformation. So then what's the lesson to learn for us? To us in this day and age, in our modern society, there are so many people with so there's every single one of us has got its own black spots and white spots, all of us. So none of us can say that we are all totally puritanical. There must be some negativities within us. So sometimes we become very judgmental. Oh, આ તો non-veg ખાય છે, કેટલો ખરાબ છે, આ ના છે. Well, non-veg ખાય છે, they can transform themselves and become a vegetarian. So you cannot have that stigma. Many people can go through bankruptcy. So many of you can know our family members હોય, if anyone, આને તો bankruptcy કર્યું, આનો આમ છે, and then there's a stigma associated with that person. What a negative person, કેટલા ખરાબ. And I think what's important to know that people through their own different situations can transform themselves. Negative to you, but from negativity you can transform yourselves and then turn into positivity. So, although one can read about these topics of narak and everything in its but you look at it in a positive limelight, if you had to even undergo through that, through strong faith and resolution, one can come out of this imperfection to perfection. So if you now go to the next sutra, Maya Tiryancha Nasya. So now it's now describing the next one. So we've looked at the hellish living being. So what karmas then give you birth into the animal kingdom? So again, as you can see, the general topic is cause and effect. So the first one was you're born into a hellish region, So there's an effect, but what was the cause behind it? And we see the cause was excessive attachment to other things. So now we are actually born in the animal kingdom. And why would that occur? So that would occur cheating others, preaching the false doctrine, etc. So the act or practice of deceiving, concealment or distortion of the truth for the purpose of misleading. So duplicity, fraud, cheating. Once she exposed the deceit, no one ever trusted them again. Or so an act of deceit. Okay. So what deceit is? There are two aspects to deceit. One is deceiving others, and one could also deceive yourself. So there are two aspects to delude oneself. So that's again deceit. So that's quite important to bear in mind. Okay? One is for others and one is for even oneself. So let's look at this. Lies should not be uttered with deceitful mind. To lie is bad, but the intensity of lie cannot be determined until its objective and purpose is not known. But lies to occur, and why? What's the reason behind it? So that's why in the Jain philosophy, the bhav, the notion of what's the intention is very, very important. People speak lies to hide their crime. Fear of punishment prompts them to hide the same, but that does not annihilate their penchant to commit crimes. We all know so often that ek khotu bola mati, you get into a web of lies. Ek lie kara mate, you biju second lie bola, second lie mati third lie, and you really get into a mesh of lies. His improvement becomes impossible, his hopes of progress are eliminated. So if you really get into that, it becomes second nature. But once when you start with one lie, lying just becomes a habit. Few people speak lies to save the life of others. Such lies, spoken with non-violent intentions, are pure, strengthens virtue, and it is not a sin. Few people utter lies for realization of their selfish goal. They have a cunning mind. They have a tendency to cheat others. In the scriptural language, it is called deceitful lies. This is a great sin. Everyone must avoid this. Lies spoken without full knowledge can be ignored. Lies. But spoken with a deceitful intention is not very good. You know, you've got a very cunning, very evil intention, and that's why you're speaking a lie. So that's to be avoided, and that can lead into the animal kingdom, birth in the animal kingdom. Now let's read a story here. Subhadra was born into a good family, Jain family. So this is an example of deceit. She was a daughter of the king's minister. Subhadra was very religious, and her father wanted to marry her to a religious Jain of a good family. One day a young Buddhist man named Buddhadas was visiting her city and saw Subhadra and fell in love. Buddhadas found out that Subhadra's family was looking for a good Jain husband for her. So he changed his name to Jinadas, Buddhadas Mati Jinadas, and pretended to be a Jain. He stayed with some Jain monks, claiming to take a vow to live temporarily like a Jain, like a monk to impress Subhadra's father. So can you see the deceit now? Jinadas or Buddhadas met her father and lied to him about all the Jain vows he supposedly had taken. Subhadra's father was fooled and decided to marry Subhadra to Jinadas. In the excitement of her new life, Subhadra did not immediately realize that her in-laws were not Jains. One morning, Subhadra went to worship at the Jain temple. When she returned, her mother-in-law told her that her new family were not Jains but Buddhists, and that from now on, Subhadra must only worship at Buddhist temples. Now, what would happen if that happened to you or to your daughters? So, what would happen? What would you do in this situation here? Anyone? So for ladies in this room here, what would be your reaction if you got entangled into this kind of situation here? You or your daughters or anyone? What would be your reaction? What would you do?
Depends what century it is.
That's true. In this century, it would be what talak.
It would be a mixture of emotions, wouldn't it? Whether to respect the
The biggest part, like
In-laws.
you get hurt that they have cheated you.
Mhm.
Regardless whether they want you to follow any path, anything. The cheating is like not acceptable.
Yeah.
So the reaction was like you will be of course very unhappy about being cheated.
And when you've always been a Jain, how can you suddenly just change just because someone has told you to follow something else?
Yeah.
And that's where I feel.
Okay. I mean, if you want to read the full story, you can obviously go into Jainpedia and read. This is actually from the scriptures. The long and short of the story was that what happened was that after this, a Jain monk actually came seeking for alms, and what had happened was that something got stuck in the Jain monks, and which was causing a lot of pain on the Jain monk's eye. So obviously, she's being a female, she couldn't touch the Jain monk, so she actually went quite close and tried to remove some kind of something which is irritating, a stick or something. And so she went quite close to remove it, but because she went quite close, her Chandlo actually then touched the Jain monk, and her mother-in-law saw this and said, look at this. Not only is this, but the Jain monks are also absolutely without vows. Look at him, that he's got infatuation for this lady, and look at this lady here, that she has got absolutely of no moral character, that she's doing this. And then she told her son, so look at your wife, and they started really harassing her. This was the times, obviously, the century you're talking about. So this was a time whereby the story says that the angels, Devis, were protecting people who had a lot of faith in Jain religion. So the Devi then protected her, and the story goes on that she was actually cleared. Her name got eventually cleared. But this is another example of how deceit occurs in day-to-day life, and it's so common, and just an example of what causes this deceit, that for own personal material gain with an evil intention. He exactly knew that he was this, and how your mind starts becoming very cunning and very deceiving to then achieve your goals. Now, the nature of the causes of bondage in causing the Tiryancha karma. A ramified act of deception or harboring a crooked feeling is deceit. For example, in the name of preaching things religious, to introduce sheer falsity and propagate them with a selfish motive, to keep one's life devoid of disciplined conduct, this and similar acts are called deceit, which constitutes the cause of bondage for the Tiryancha karma. So, I think almost all of us know the story of Chanda Kaushik, that he had intense anger and he was biting. But let's look at, has anyone pondered about what caused Chanda Kaushik to become like this, to have such severe, because we always believe in cause and effect. So what was his reincarnation, what was his previous life, which actually made him to become a very ferocious snake? Okay, so let me just read the story. Now the second story is about Chanda Kaushik monk. He was a very well-learned monk, but there was an absence of equanimity in his spiritual pursuit. He had a disciple who was a kid, so this is his previous life. One day they both went for alms. Unknowingly, the head monk smashed a frog. The child monk told him for repentance for that mistake. So he's the senior monk, and the child monk says that, oh, Guru Maharaj, you've actually crushed a frog, you need to atone for that sin. The head monk's pride stopped him from doing so, and he mentally thought, how can a child monk tell me what to do? The head monk again at night, the child monk reminded his guru, saying, you need to repent for the killing. So this guy said, Atma ne neck kare rakhe che. Sawarma ki to pachu kare rakhe che. He lost his calm. And he actually went there with his stick to strike the child monk. But he ran after him to strike, but in the darkness he crashed with a pillar and died in that state of anger. In his next birth now, he became a mendicant. He possessed a huge farm and used to bring fruits from the farm and did austerities. He brought his previous birth's anger in this birth too. Some boys used to steal fruits from his farm, and he was always in rage he was always in rage for the boys. One day he decided to catch some boys and punish them for farm apples and chori jai che. They're just coming there. It's not the kids they're going to someone else's farm over the fence and just start taking them. So he got fed up of these kids coming and just stealing the apples. So he actually then, what he decided to do, he actually, he was holding an axe, and so he lurked behind a tree and waited for them. He was holding an axe, and as soon as he got a chance, he rushed towards the boys, but unfortunately fell down, and his own axe pierced his head, and he died in agony. As a result, in the third birth, he became a snake who could kill anyone by looking at them by its ferocious glance. He did not even have to bite someone. Just his glance, he that much anger that just by looking at the snake, one would just die. That was the intense anger. Thus we can see that his anger multiplied in every birth and pushed the soul deeper into the mundane world. Fortunately, by the help of Lord Mahavir, the snake learned to forgive, and its anger vanished, and it's reincarnated in the 8th celestial world. Now, outside in the library here, how many of you read the book Walk With Me? Okay, most of you. So that's very good. This is a great book whereby Acharya Channaji and with Vastupal Parekh, who is in Ahmedabad, that they've actually written a great book about the life of Lord Mahavir, but in a very nice and simplistic style. It's almost like you feel Bhagavan Mahavir is here right now with me. It's like a conversation. કે ભગવાન મહાવીર આમ કે ચંદનબાલા સાથે, it's not like a story as though it happened then. It's like almost like a dialogue. Oh, ચંદનબાલે આમ કીધું, I said this to her, this is what happened, and it brings out almost 2,500 years right now in front of you. You almost feel that, yeah, this is happening right now. And in this, they've also vividly described about this Chanda Kaushik episode. You can almost see that, the person yelled, the villagers are telling Lord Mahavir, don't go there, that this snake will actually kill you. Just by, are you on a suicide mission? They say, don't you care for your life? That you're ignoring our what we're telling you, don't go into the forest. So it just makes you feel such a... And then Bhagavan Mahavir still carries on. And he says, and the villagers are looking, that Bhagavan Mahavir is going ahead and he's unconcerned that there's a snake there. So he's continued. We saw the magic. We saw the cobra calm down and lay quietly at the feet of this magician. So these farmers are thinking that this guy is a magician here. The man actually talked to the cobra, and amazingly the cobra raised its hood, looked at the man and carefully listened to him. I heard the man clearly. He was saying, calm down. આપણે કેમ છે સ્ક્રિપ્ચરમાં ભુજ okay છે. So exactly, calm down. My dear King Cobra, you understand, don't you? The terrible poison of fears hurts others, it's also hurting you. Your poison is actually you. I know by your glare, other people are dying, but it's also hurting you. And then Bhagavan Mahavir is telling him that, don't you understand that you were actually a learned monk, but you died when you were in an anger mood. And then Bhagavan, and if you just read the story, Bhagavan Mahavir's communication with the cobra is indeed rare, a miraculous event. Usually we communicate by words. And what does Acharya Timnaji say? That how was Bhagavan Mahavir communicating with Chanda Kaushik? It was through the bhav language. That Bhagavan Mahavir had absolute compassion for the snake and just to the bhav. And this is the language of the pure souls. Now again, in that same trip, I went to Nandiya Tirth, and this is the exact location where Chanda Kaushik's snake beat Bhagavan Mahavir. So it's just amazing to go to the same temple where, as you can see, there's all mountains around here, and you can almost visualize that this is indeed true, that Bhagavan Mahavir was walking in these jungles here. He must have been standing there, and the snake beats here. So if you just look at this video here, I don't know why it's but you can see that this is the snake here. So they've actually got so that's Bhagavan Mahavir standing there, and this is the exact location where Chanda Kaushik.
What the snake is on the floor, is it?
So they've just made some kind of a mark on the floor to say that this is where Chanda Kaushik's snake. Yeah, I don't know why it's turned the other way around. So if I just show the next, so this is what you can see. So they've actually made a mark there, and Bhagavan Mahavir's feet here. So again, just so nice to see that this is the exact location where Chanda Kaushik snake. Now, again, the same concept I would like to bring it along. That first of all, if for example you or I were born into the animal kingdom in our next lives, is it all doom and gloom? Sometimes we feel, okay, because we never know, okay, we could have also committed such kind of crimes now, or we could in the future, which could lead us into an animal kingdom. But what's very interesting, how many of you have been watching this Blue Planet program on TV, which is just been, there's a series by David Attenborough? Yeah?
Yes, seen a little bit.
Yeah, just a few of them.
It's expensive.
Yeah, I know it's quite expensive. One episode I saw, and which actually relates to a story which was said in the scriptures, is, did you see this one of these episodes whereby a huge whale opens its mouth and many small fishes are just enter and it just eats like hundreds of fishes together. So it makes you feel, can you imagine કે આપણા પેટ ભરવા માટે, just to fill our stomach, how much himsa has been done. In fact, there's a nice quotation I really read. Which are the 3 holes one cannot ever fill? Anyone knows? Okay, khada je che, any holes. Which holes can never be filled? Pet one is the right one. So pet one. The other one is samudra, sea. Sea nu je che, you just pani ma padya rakhe. So that's another one. One is the stomach one, and the other one is the kind of the greed. And in fact, the other one is the graveyard. જે ઓલા છે કોઈ ઓલો ગ્રેવિયર્ડનો માણસ ક્યાં રાખે કે ઓ ભગવાન હવે that's it, I don't want any more people to actually bury them, but it's always તમે ખાડે કરી રાખો માણસો આવ્યા જ રાખશે. So those are the kind of holes which can never get filled. So in the scriptures the story says that there could be another smaller fish saying કે જો તો it's just thinking on the side કે આટલું મોટું fish છે, આટલું મોટું body છે, આટલું મોટું મોઢું છે, big mouth, yet એને તો ખાલી આટલી 100 fish ખાધી. જો મારી પાસે હું હોત I would have eaten 1000 fish. So that other fish just through its bhav karma actually bound much more karma than this actually big fish, just by thinking કે આ તો જો કેટલું એને તો ખાલી 100 કે 200 ખાધી, હું તો I would have eaten thousands. So that bhav is the one which can lead you to such more karmas. Now I don't know if I mentioned this story. We actually witnessed another story. We went to Kerala a few years ago, and in the Kochi there was a remarkable incident which we witnessed. I'll let you see the movie, but in essence what happened was that Kochi Derasarma, this person used to come and feed kabutar ne khawano apave, and he used to do it at erratic times. Kokar bopana 2 o'clock, kokar 4 o'clock, kokar 12 wage. So once when Sadhu Maharaj came there, he said ke Tame, when you eat, do you have a set pattern? Yeah, I have a set pattern. Breakfast is at this time, lunch is at this time. So he says, why do you actually then give the animals food at random times? Yeah, that's a good point. But the next day, each story kara ke, why is this Guru Maharaj telling me the same thing, same story again and again? Eventually, the Guru Maharaj says, this is what you're doing is good, but you should have a set time to feed the animals. Okay, what do you do? Tomorrow, you go there out there and talk to the pigeons. And tell them કે કાલથી હું તમને 12 વાગે કે 11:30 ના હું તમને રોજ ખાવાનું આપીશ. You must be silly, how can I talk to the pigeons? No, you can. So tell them you're not going to get your food at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. You'll come at 11:30 and you'll get your food. So he goes there and he talks to them કે કાલથી from tomorrow you'll get your food at 11:30. And so be it. So because the Acharya says if you've got clean, pure intention, the animals will listen to you. And now what happens is every day, even today, every single day, he'll come with his thali and do chalo, 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 and there'll be hundreds and thousands of pigeons. What they will then do is, Derasanu jolu dome che, they will circle it 3 times. So they'll circle the Derasanu 3 times. And pachi, after they've done that, then he recites Manglik. And after listening to the Manglik, then only will they eat. So you can imagine, if you are born as an animal, but if you've got such strong devotion, there's still some hope. Even animals have got this kind of spiritual. So I hope it's not inverted. Unable to load media, insufficient disk space. It's okay. If you actually go into Google and type YouTube feeding pigeons at Kochi Derasar, you'll be able to see this video. So if you just, when at home, you can just type YouTube feeding pigeons at Kochi Derasar, you'll see this video. It's so amazing to see that the kabutars, we actually can see that they are circling and doing this. So you can now see that these kabutars are actually going 3 times and then only eating. Another example which we witnessed is in Shahpur. This is actually a Derasar near Bombay. It's about 100 kilometers away from Bombay. And there they know there's got Nag Bapa. So what they call Nag Bapa, that there's a snake who comes there and not even one snake, quite a few snakes. And then they come, Bhagwani Murti hoy, they just come and pay the devotion and then they go around. So in this one instance, a lot of people spotted a snake and these are very harmless snakes. And they're just going witnessing. So here you can you see the snake here? Just a lal upar. And you can see the face is right up there. So another striking example, this soul has taken the birth of an animal, a snake, someone who is got a poisonous by nature, but exactly the opposite the nature. So people would go near it, it's not hissing, it's not sort of trying to attack you, but very pacified. So one actually can believe, if you have got the faith, in spite of being born into this domain, you can actually transform yourselves.
So there is a
Actually
story.
said that there's a snake up in the tree.
Trees ma hoy.
White tree, a snake but nobody has seen.
Yeah,
we
yeah?
went,
Oh,
that's
when
the
you went.
place, Yeah.
The same place.
હા કે ઝાડ ઓલું મોટો ઝાડ નથી
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
બધું બાંધે છે એ કે અહીંયા ઉપર એક સાપ છે એ અમુકને દેખાય છે
I've been there couple of times, not all the times you've seen, but on this particular instance, we saw it twice on 2 occasions, but we've been there quite a few times. And this one we actually took a picture so you can see in uchu motu dekhai chhe કે એ લોકો આવીને people પછી શું કરે માનતા બાંધે, so they tie a coconut or something and they just sort of માનતા માને. But again you can see કે
So Rajeev, there is a story of frog. Bhagwan Samvosharan, and everyone was going towards
Yeah.
Samvosharan. So there was this frog who had lot of faith.
You're right.
And was again wanting to do darshan of Bhagwan.
Mhm.
When he was squashed to death because and the story goes on to say that faith એટલું બધું હતું because he had heard about Bhagwan.
Yeah.
Because he was coming there for Samvosharan, that he has a developed.
Yeah. So I think when you see these kind of things, it actually does make you believe. Another example which I put on there is the tortoise. This is a story when I was probably 10 or 11 years old, and my grandparents took me to Baroda. And there's a derasar of Muni Surat Swami Bhagwanu. And I saw it from, I obviously can't remember very clearly because I was quite young, but I very clearly remember that the tortoise would be near the derasar. You recite the Nokar mantra, it takes its two paws and then just folds them together. So every time you recite Nokar mantra, it does this, and then it eats lettuce before 6 o'clock. So if you come and bring some kobina patta, you give it before 6 o'clock, it will eat. After 6, 24 thega pachi, it will not eat anything. So you keep any food in front of it, it will not eat. And it's just amazing to see every time we did it, it's almost like a toy. You say Nokar mantra, it does this, then it opens up. Again you say Nokar mantra, it just does this.
And it's very painful for it to do that because that hard shell, it hurts like when it starts moving the limbs. So it's very painful. So the fact that it keeps doing that all the time, that is like it in spite of all that pain, it still wants to do it.
I see. So I mean, just amazing. Another which you experience is Kamdhenu cow in Sankeshwar. I hope this works. Unable to load media because insufficient disk space. Okay, again, if you actually type Kamdhenu cow Sankeshwar in YouTube, you'll actually see this video. So this we went to Sankeshwar, and the person was explaining to us that this is a special cow. They are called as Kamdhenu guys, and he was telling us there are only 3 or 4 in India. One is in Punjab, one is here, and they've got some very special characteristics. They've got some special lines. Panch Parmeshtina, they've got some 5 symbols which denotes the 5 Parmeshtis, and they are such holy cows કે આ જે ગાયનું જે દૂધ આવે છે એ સંકેશ્વર પાસવાનનો પક્ષાલ ને જે બધું કરવાનું હોય આ ગાયથી થાય. So again you can listen to the video, and it's just to see again they've taken birth in a human form, but again through આ લોકોને બધું ભગવાન એટલા ભાવ છે કે they are એનું જે દૂધ આવીને ભગવાન સંકેશ્વર પાસવાનનો પક્ષાલ ને બધું એનાથી થાય છે. Okay, so we've looked at 2 gatis. So the inflow of Manushya human age karma is caused by slightly worldly activity and by attachment to a few worldly objects of slight attachment. So from the intense, it's now come to slight, which will give you birth into a human form. Let's look at that.
आपकी आंखों के सामने कोई सुखी दिखाई पड़े, उनके पास्ट को देखो, नॉट प्रेजेंट. दुखी के प्रेजेंट को देखो. और आपकी आंखों के सामने कोई भी सुखी आदमी दिखाई पड़े, उनके प्रेजेंट को मत देखो, उनके पास्ट को देखो. मंदिर में नहीं जाता है, कभी गुरु भगवान के पास वो नहीं गया, एक सामायिक भी नहीं की, ना दान किया, ना सिल्का पालन किया, ना तप किया, ना कुछ किया, और फिर भी वो करोड़पति आदमी है. What I would like to say, you understood? आप समझते हैं मैं क्या कहना चाहता हूँ? आपको मैं 50 साल बोलूँ, उनको गाड़ी बंगले मोटर दिखाई पड़ेंगे, उनका पास्ट दिखाई पड़ेगा, निश्चित. गत जन्म में कोई धर्म की आराधना उनके हाथ से होगी लगती है. आज एक भी धर्म उनके जीवन में न होने के बावजूद भी करोड़ों रुपए कमा रही है. यहाँ व्यक्ति मेरे को फिर से पूछना चाहता हूँ, आप मुझे बताओ, कोई भी सुखी आदमी दिखाई पड़े जिनके जीवन में धर्म नहीं है, उनको देख करके आपको क्या दिखाई पड़ता है? प्रेजेंट की पास्ट. आज शिविर में आपका कंसेप्ट यदि मन में डाउट है तो मैं क्लियर कर देना चाहता हूँ. जिसके जीवन में धर्म न होने के बाद भी सुख पर्याप्त है, उनको देख करके आपके मन में जेलसी का भाव न हो, इनके लिए श्रेष्ठ विकल्प है उनके पाठ को देख लो। ये आपकी श्रद्धा है कि नहीं है तो मुझे रोको, मैं आगे नहीं जाऊंगा। आप बोलो कि गुरुदेव हमने नहीं बैठता है कि गत जन्म में उसने कोई साधना की होगी, नहीं है तो बोलो मैं लॉजिकली आपको प्रूव करके देता हूं। एनी आंसर फ्रॉम यू? तो शरीर क्या क्या है? मैं आपको एक छोटा सा प्रश्न पूछूं। आपके बेटे को आपने बोल दिया कि बेटा साइकिल चलाना तो पेडल तो लगाना ही पड़ता है, और ये आपके बेटे को आपने ये बोला था और बेटे के साथ आप बाहर निकले, बराबर है? और जैसे ही बाहर निकले तो उसी टाइम एक साइकिल जा रही थी जिनके सवार के 2 पैर सीट पे और साइकिल भाग रही थी। हो सकता है ऐसा भाई? हो सकता है कि नहीं? बराबर। वो टाइम आपका बेटा आपको पूछेगी पापा आपने बोला था कि बिना पेडल लगाए साइकिल भाग नहीं सकती है, और ये इनके दोनों पैर सीट पे है और फिर भी साइकिल भाग रही है, व्हाट इज द रीजन? आप क्या बताएंगे? क्या हुआ? पीने वो लड़का बोलेगा पिता मुझे तो दिखाई नहीं पड़ा, मैंने तो कभी देखा नहीं। आप बोलते हो पहले पेडल मार दिया होगा मगर मैंने तो देखा नहीं, तो फिर जवाब क्या देंगे? नहीं बोला। क्या हुआ? बराबर। माने आप बोलेंगे नहीं बेटा तूने देखा नहीं मैंने देखा नहीं, मगर ये साइकिल चलती है बिना पेडल 100% नहीं चल सकती है। माने वो घर से निकलाना तब जोर से पेडल मारा होगा, इनके बिना ये बिना पेडल साइकिल 100% नहीं चलती है, बराबर ना? माने आपका बेटा बोले, आप बेटे को बोलेंगे बेटा मैंने नहीं देखा तूने नहीं देखा, मगर दिस इज कॉज एंड इफेक्ट, यानी निश्चित तौर से साइकिल बिना पेडल चलती है तो आगे कहीं ना कहीं पेडल मारा होगा, इनके बिना साइकिल चल नहीं सकती है। मैं आपको वही कहना चाहता हूँ, धर्म का पेडल मारे बिना आज किसके जीवन में सुख की साइकिल भाग रही है, तो आप इतना ही मान लेना गत जन्म में कहीं पेडल मारा होगा, इनके बिना साइकिल कभी नहीं चल सकती। शायद बोलो ये सही है, 100 आपके मन में पक्का है विश्वास? 100% गुरुदेव इसने पेडल मारे होंगे और इनके बिना कभी साइकिल नहीं चल सकती। मानते हो तुम? मेरे पास आते दलील करने के लिए गुरुदेव हम पूजा करते फिर भी दुखी और बदमाश, सिनेमा के थिएटर में जाता है फिर भी बंगला बना के बैठा है, कौन बोलता है तुम्हें पाठ में नहीं दिखाई पड़ता है?
Such a very powerful way, because this is very common for us to say કે કેટલું સાયન્સ ને એક્સપ્લેન કર્યું કે દેરાસર નથી જતા, ગુરુ ભગવાનને કાંઈ નથી કરતા, and what we see all around us is this person is doing such evil activities and yet enjoying the fruits and having such wealth, and explained so well કે when you past ને present જો ને કે જે સુખી હોય એનું તમે past જો એનું past જો અને દુખી હોય એનું તમે present જુઓ કે આજે. But it's a very nice way of saying it, cause and effect. He explained it in very well. Acharya Ratna Sundar Maharaj, it's very, very eloquent Acharya, and YouTube's there's a lot of his videos which comes there. Acharya Maharaj also talked about Shield and Vrat. So the 5 chief regulations, non-violence, truth, etc. are called Vrats. આપણે કહીએ 5 Mahavrats, vows. The subsidiary vrats that are observed with a view to buttressing those chief vrats are called shield. The 3 guna vrats and the 4 shiksha vrats. Vanditu sutrama પણ આવે છે. So the guna vrats are big vrat, direction limitation, bhog upbhog pariman vrat. We want to limit the use which we use repeatedly or one off. So for example, house is something which is just one. So there's no need to have 2 house, 3 house, 4 house. And certain things are like clothes which you can use frequently. Again, you limit. So something which is used once or is used repeatedly. Anartha dan viraman vrat, purposeless violence. For example, park ma betha che, we are going to a park, and just out of boredom, have you seen many people sitting in the park and just plucking the grass? But for what reason? Just you're sitting there and just plucking grass. Purposeless violence. Or you are walking and you're just kicking stones, and that stones could hurt some ants or anything. So you're just walking in the park leisurely and just kicking stones. So purposeless violence. Siksha vrat, samayak vrat. So Samakun, Desh Vaikashik Vrat, again limiting your directions even more. Poshad Upwas, staying like a monk and fasting. Atiti Sami Vigak Vrat, so giving alms or assisting the poor or donating. So these are all kind of things which we could do, which will then give you birth into human life. So natural humble disposition is also the cause of a human age karma. So vowlessness and sub-vowlessness with a slight belly activity and attachment is the cause of inflow of all kinds of age karmas. For not taking the vows of layman and not adopting to the restrictions shield, but having slight attachment to the world and activity in it can be the cause of inflow of age karma matter of all four kinds. So when you don't do this, you could actually get births in any of this. It's not necessarily, it's not like directly, not directly you'll be human. By any of this, you could be born into any category which we do not know. So if you do not have any shield or vrats, you could be born into any realms. So vows. What in this picture would be depicting signifies vows? So if you see this picture here, show me something here which signifies what is vows, which describes vows. There's so many things here: buildings, river.
It's the gates, so the boundary.
Yeah, so the gates. So essentially, vows create a boundary around us. So when we won't have lots of desires, lots of these things, this actually creates a boundary. Vows have actually got lots of power. So if you say, "Ke maro vow che," no matter what someone puts in front of you, you'll say, "No, aaj maro vow che." If you don't have any vows restrictions, chal say, "Okay, let me just indulge in it." So having vows and vrats is essential. And our religion is so great. Vows doesn't prescribe you just do this or that. You can go to any lengths depending on your choice. Now, looking at the vows, again, in that same trip which I went, we went to Girnar Tirth. And let's look at the importance of vows. His Acharya Puram Puja Hembala Vijayji Maharaj. So, like, Aba Tadkama, so Girnar Tirthani 2200 વધારે યાત્રા કરી છે. So he's done 2200 જાત્રાs of Girnar. 2200. આવા તડકામાં પણ નિસ્વાર્થ ભાવે રોજ દાદાની ભેટવા જાય છે. Every day it's his vow to go and climb Girnar Maharaj. Girnar Tirth. પગમાં મોજા નહીં કે માથે કાંઈ ઓઢવાનું નહીં. રોજ ગિરનારની યાત્રા કરીને આવ્યા બાદ પચકાન પારવાનું. So we actually did the jatra, and in the evening we went to do his darshan. And he's taken a vow, lifelong, that every single day I will go and climb Girnar Tirth and then do Ambel until his last breath. And that's his vow which he has taken. So this is the vow he's taken to do this. And we asked him, why તમે કેમ આવી રીતના તમે લીધું છે? So when I asked Guru Maharaj, in this era right now, 20 Tirthankars went to moksha from Samet Shikhar. It is believed in the next cycle, all the 24 Tirthankars, all 24, not 20, all 24 Tirthankars will go to moksha from Girnar Tirth. So he says, I want to bind such a strong affinity to this mountain that in my next birth, or whenever the Tirthankars come here, I want to be here. So that's my conviction. That's what I want to do, which is attracting me to the Girnar Tirth. So can you imagine what kind of vows he's taken? Again, a slight incident here. I think I've mentioned this in one of my past talks, but another very striking example. When we were climbing down, obviously Yash, he was a bit scared of dogs. So we were climbing down and the dog was following us. So with a stick dolly, we just told him to go away. So like dolly wala je manso tha, no, don't worry, this dog is harmless. But Yash was saying, no, I'm quite scared. So then they were explaining to us that this dog, he is climbing the mountain every day, and they are actually a pair. He's a brown dog and he's black dog. And he is waiting for the black dog to catch up with him. And he says both these dogs are doing jatra every day. So again, another live example of no barking. So he was not even barking like most dogs would bark. He was just slowly climbing down, but saying that he's not going to, if you take the stick, he's not going to go down fast because he's waiting for the other black dog to join him, and they're both going to come down. Says, but they're doing this jatra every day. So when you see this in front of your eyes, you actually then believe that even animals have got senses, and they can easily now come out of this and then get such high births. if one wants to know the importance of Girnar Tirth, I would suggest that if you type in Google Girnar beckons from the web, you can actually, it's in English, and you can actually, it's given in detail what is the importance of Girnar, and it's such a nice read. So for us, when we saying we are talking of vows, what kind of vows can you do? We know that they're external tap and they're the internal tap. So externally we can be doing fasting, restricting food. So one can choose depending on one's capacity what suits someone. So, and it's very often said that if someone says, I cannot fast, don't worry. If you can't fast because of your body just can't get accustomed to fasting, study. So nothing is superior than one another. So if you can't fast, you can do studies, scriptures. All of them you can do with a view of saying, okay, whatever suits one person, say, okay, you can do whatever you want, but you can do something or the other to limit your, to have vows. I think I'll leave it to this stage here because now it's going to the next one, which is into the heavenly body, and it's 9:15. So any questions? But I think just to summarize that from what Ritaben was talking about, they talked about different kinds of karma, types of karma, all how the karma comes in. The next couple of sutras which you looked at was just purely cause and effect. That we are looking at how one can be born into the 4 different types, animals, plants, humans, Dev and Narak, and then giving some kind of example. And I think the emphasis which I would like to bring along here is that this is not just hypothetical, because we all could be born in our future lives, and if we were, then they still raise of hope, and there's no despair. That one should not despair. That if our conviction and our bhav is strong, then we can come out of any situations.
Yeah.